Hello everyone and welcome to BearNews as we take a look at an indie title that is set out to become the de facto leader in modern retro gaming. Songs of Conquest comes from the collective minds of Lava Potion, a company forged from the coming together of multiple veterans of the gaming and movie industry. Now I, as with many, have been following this game for a while, but only recently have they released a full gameplay trailer as part of the E3 PC Gaming Showcase in 2021, and already we can see plenty of buzz surrounding this brand new release. Now this game definitely has a classic appeal, going for a pixel artwork style, something they are not using as an excuse for poor quality, with in fact much of their artwork looking absolutely phenomenal. They really have taken it upon themselves to show the very best of pixelated artwork within this game. From the individual sprites through to the animation quality, everything in this looks pretty much as good as you can get given the pixelated style. To those familiar with classic strategy gaming, then a lot of the content they're promising is going to seem pretty familiar. When I first saw some of the screenshots for this upcoming title, my initial thoughts were of Might and Magic, seemingly where much of this game has drawn its inspiration. Now I should note right here that I was actually alerted to this game thanks to someone within Songs of Conquest actually adding me on Twitter, as it was through that I was able to find their dev blog. Lava Potion has done an excellent job in keeping all of the community up to date on the developments with the game so far, including showing plenty of the artwork and gameplay mechanics as they've developed, and listening to community feedback to further improve this title. This ranges everywhere from changes to gaming mechanics such as developments in the UI and Fog of War, all the way through to game language localizations and calls for help in doing so. And in fact, looking at an interview with Karl Torfelt over on Celestial Heavens, you get a really good idea of just how the team at Lava Potion has developed and how much effort has been put into this game. Now I highly recommend watching this video as anything directly from a dev team is always interesting to hear, so I've left a link in the description for everyone to check it out. But coming back over to the dev blog, we can see that the game has not only reached a stage of playability, but also is currently in testing, with the group showing off that they've created a new and improved bug report system for those who have been included in the alpha. This is a great example of indie dev done right. We can see how much they've been keeping gamers up to date. They've been showing off all the artwork they're planning to bring into the game, with most of it honestly looking phenomenal, as well as including short clips of key features that will be found within the game. From experimental ideas such as their new designs on Fog of War, all the way through to more permanent things such as construction, where they have actually listened to the community and began to change things in response to what gamers have said, as well as including a fair bit of humor within these clips and actually telling you about the developers themselves, the struggles they've had, and the new things they've had to consider as they've progressed with development. A great example of this is with their tutorialization system. Now just recently they released on Twitter as well as of course on their Discord information about how item management will work for your characters, with different items available to enter into different slots, but clear indication of which slots are available for each specific piece of equipment, responding quickly to many players' suggestions that they make this far clearer with some kind of highlighted position as to where the equipment should go, or even a single click system to equip it. They've suggested in their response that this is something they've already considered and are working on, all of which is really good news for gamers as it proves the dev team is taking aboard ideas and trying to improve this game from a genuine point of wanting to make it. They are opening up to the community, being transparent with what they're doing, and taking on board those suggestions really to make this as best they possibly can. Which is a great thing to see as this game has so much potential to develop. By keeping the graphics, though beautiful, nice and simple in a pixelated style, they are then able to spend more time working on balance, introducing more items, and really expanding upon the world and the narrative you'll create to a much more satisfactory level. So with the development in full swing for this title, just what can we expect from Songs of Conquest in the future? Inspired by the 90s classic, Songs of Conquest is a turn-based strategy game where your main character will be a magic user known as a wielder. Playing as this wielder, you will be able to lead your forces into combat against the many enemies you meet on your travels. And as you go about these travels, you will be able to explore and gain access to new resources. The game provides a classic blend of empire management, world exploration, and hex-based TBS combat. Featuring a host of different factions from the undead through to the Thay, Lava Potion has really put their best foot forward when developing this title. Looking at the original release trailer of the game, we can see the various biomes in which the map environments will be based on, with different biomes relating directly to the different factions available, as well as each feeling entirely distinct and unique to the others. From the swampland marshes of the Rana to the darkened graveyards of the Barony of Loth, we get a great depiction of exactly how much world building has gone into this title. Now I will say the soundtrack to this is phenomenal and you definitely have to check it out. However, since it has undoubtedly been copyrighted, I will be unable to play it here. So I will, as in all BearNews, include links in the description to this trailer and all others used in this video. But as the camera moves around, we can focus in on some of the differences in the biomes that are apparent in this trailer, alongside a great view of some of the different wielders that will be present. Finally, we get to see the Empire as it's constructed, alongside a day-night cycle. And then coming over to the 2021 E3 trailer, we can see how the game has progressed over that time, with even more of those wielders, characters, and in-game items present, not to mention some of the world events, and more importantly, some of that gameplay. Taking a look at the UI elements present, we get plenty of information from Cecilia Stouthart. We can see the finances and multiple forms of resources that this empire has amassed throughout their play, alongside a breakdown of the character themselves, with Cecilia being an extremely strong defender compared to her attack, which will suggest that your wielder is going to have a massive effect on how different campaigns play out, with each of them focusing on quite a specific playstyle. We also have some general panels, what I can best assume are a character inventory tab and a quest or journal tab, indicated by the character and scroll respectively. Finally, we can also see this character moving around interacting with the environment, collecting resources through their exploration. Now, since the team at Lava Potion themselves have openly stated their inspiration from many of the old classics, this is great to see, as it means that exploration is truly going to be fundamental in driving not only your campaign play, but also in developing your empire, allowing you to gain access to different resources, equipment, and develop your forces in a more competitive manner, before taking them back to your main base and developing your kingdom. And it is upon these maps that you will meet the many leaders of the different warbands you will need to fight throughout your campaign. Thanks to the messages on Twitter, we actually get to see exactly what information will be given when we hover our mouse over these different units, with a breakdown of basic information so as to tell you roughly what you'll be going up against should you decide to fight them. And if you should decide to fight them, you will then find yourself upon the pre-battle map, which is a great thing to see that you will have an immediate ability to consider the battlefield and the enemies you're up against before truly committing to the engagement, allowing you to set your soldiers so as to take advantage of the tactical advantages found within the map. And pausing it here on our pre-battle screen against the Barian mercenaries, we gain once more plenty of information about how this game plays out. Now I will state one thing, since this is a generic enemy type, we can't really see any information on the wielder icon tab, as these forces are not commanded by a wielder, which will no doubt make this a far easier confrontation than going up against those much mightier foes. But taking a look at what we can see, we have a simple hex-based battlefield with good representation of roughly what the battle map will look like. Assuming this is indeed the pre-battle panel seen before the images to follow, we can gather that we will get information regarding the different heights and elevations within the battlefield map, but we will not gain information regarding choke points. And this can be seen in the main battle map, where there are some forms of spike traps set up, and it'll be interesting to see just how you interact with these elements when the game is finally released. We can also take a look at the bottom, where we do know you'll be able to withdraw, engage in a quick battle or manual battle depending on your decision. And all I can say is I truly hope the quick battle is more merciful than many other auto-resolves present within the strategy gaming industry. I'd also like to take a quick look at these numbers on the unit icons, as these can be changed drastically. We know from their releases over on Twitter that you will be able to move units and even split them should you wish, meaning you really will have a fair amount of control in exactly how you organize your forces. Pausing it once more, we have a great view of exactly how the Fog of War will interact in the game, something that the team has alluded to multiple times on their Twitter, and honestly is looking brilliant, with shade introduced to the 3D elements on the map. And something to note is that those shadows will move along with the player, though no matter how hard I've tried, I can't quite tell if they actually are reacting to the light source itself. And as we continue, we get to see some of the upgrades that will be available to our characters as we level them up, giving us clear options in how we specialize each wielder. You'll have access to improve your skills, allowing you to improve the units under your command, as well as gaining the ability to increase the amount of units available to you, allowing you to field larger and larger armies as time goes by, as well as freely changing the many skills and abilities present for your wielder. Now, if I could just leave on one quick note that the soundtrack for the current 2021 trailer is indeed still rather nice, it really doesn't hold a candle to that original 2019 one. So do make sure to give both a check to see the types of soundtracks that will be available in Songs of Conquest. Now, I have talked about a few of these, but let's have a look at the different factions that are available in the game. The Arleon are axe-wielding knights of the Empire, set in league with fey creatures, maintaining their control of the peasantry through the power of their fists. Baria, an independent trading state where contracts and technology are king. The Rana, swamp-dwelling creatures united by a wielder to fight back against their oppressors and return their kingdom to its former glory. And finally, the Barony of Loth, cultists and scholars returning their empire to power, and with the strength of their oath-bound legions, the dead shall rise once more. The dev team at Lava Potion has really put some thought into ensuring that each of these factions are entirely different to the other. Both visually and narratively, they have a clear and distinct uniqueness to them. And something I'd really like to draw note to is that each of these factions will have a unique song for their rise and fall within a campaign. I am really looking forward to seeing exactly how that song differs for each of the factions, and am kind of tempted to try and lose a few campaigns just to see how it changes. It really is a lovely little touch, and I'm intrigued to see how it will interact with the rest of the soundtrack. But before we move on and get lost in conjecture on the single player capabilities, I should note they have confirmed both local and now online skirmish potential, meaning you will be able to go up against your friends and compete within this game to raise your empire to glory, as well as using the level editor with full control of events, soundtrack, and dialogue to forge and share player campaigns with the community, meaning you will be able to create your entirely own campaign, share it with your friends, or even with the world if you wish. As I always say on these, I am a single player gamer, so I'm not too interested in the reveal of a confirmed online skirmish, though top props to anyone who wishes to try it, but the level editor really does seem interesting, expanding the game to include community content and potentially create some rather unique campaign narratives, giving plenty of control to players out there. So just what are you looking forward to in Songs of Conquest? Which factions seem most intriguing? And more importantly, which soundtrack is your favorite? Looking forward to your answers. Until next time, as always, peace out.